And welcome back. I'm Grant Stinchfield in for Coley and Noir. You're watching CN Live right here on NRA TV. So it never ceases to amaze me how people will freak out over anything related to a gun. I mean, literally freak out. So the latest story comes to us from Florida and Carnival Cruise Lines. I want you to take a look at this video, okay? This is a key that is shaped like a gun, right? It's a key, a house key. Well, if you can believe this, Carnival Cruise Lines actually stopped that man and his wife from getting on the ship. That is a tape measure of the key. It is 2 inches. Obviously, it doesn't fire. You can hold it. Anyone in their right mind would realize there is nothing dangerous about that key. Yet, a security guard with Carnival Cruise Lines actually stopped that couple from boarding the ship. They were almost sent home until a supervisor decided this. In his infinite wisdom, we're going to confiscate that key and we're going to put it in a safe where it's safe where you can't hurt anybody with that key. It's ridiculous. It makes me actually fear for the safety of everybody on that ship that a security guard is so dumb that they think that key could hurt somebody. But that's where we are in America. The anti-gun culture has infected so many people. There are steak knives on that ship. There are all kinds of things you could use as weapons on that ship. You could break champagne bottles and use them as weapons on that ship. But they decided that a 2-inch house key was dangerous. Maybe they thought somebody would freak out or get scared by seeing a house key. If that's the case, most people leave their keys in their room anyway. Now, what makes this story even, I want to say funny, but it's not really even funny, is that the man who was using the key, that owned the key, is a sheriff's deputy from a county in Florida. He actually talked to the local media. Check this out.
First of all, you can't even get your finger in the hole, number one, if it was. You can barely get a finger around the grip. They say, I can't have it, I can't get on the boat, I either need to get rid of it, take it back, or not cruise.
I will tell you that saddens me. It saddens me for America that we have people that would freak out so badly that they would stop a sheriff's deputy from boarding a vacation, and I will venture to say that is a vacation they saved up a very, very long time for. Now, Carnival Cruise Lines came out and said they have a policy that you're not allowed to bring imitation guns on board. Imitation guns. Well, the fact is, that's not an imitation gun. It's not an imitation gun at all. It's just a key. Carnival Cruise Lines actually agreed with that assessment. Thankfully, somebody at the corporate office had some common sense, but not before everybody on that ship had flipped out, had to confiscate the key, put it in a safe, and almost stopped that man from getting on a ship with his wife. That is crazy. All right, we talk about pushing gun laws across the country and the quest of the left to push more gun laws. The only way we fight back against them is by pushing pro-gun rights across the country. We need to go from state house to state house and push all kinds of laws that enhance gun rights. So I am all for any law that enhances someone's right to carry a gun in their state. Left-wing lunatics out there will not do that. Left-wing lunatics out there will actually push anti-gun laws. So now you have in Washington state, and I made a list. This is all during this legislative session. I made a list. The list is Washington. They now have an AR-15 ban and a high-capacity magazine ban set up. That is in Washington state. That will set to be voted on. In New Jersey, they have a mandatory minimum bill that has 3 years. I got it, Denise. They have 3 years mandatory minimums, okay, for if you are caught with possession of a firearm. Mandatory minimums. We need to push back against that. In Virginia, they are pushing bills there to do away with guns. At the same time, though, we have a Republican lawmaker that is pushing for armed security in schools. So for every reaction, we need a pushback, and we will not stop until we do that. Now, on the phone with us is Bill Whittle via Skype. I want to bring in Bill. It is great to have you on the program, my friend.
Hey, good to be here, Grant. How are you?
So tell me, what is your assessment of the liberals' quest to take guns away from us on a state-by-state basis?
I think one of the things that nobody seems to be talking about is the fact that these people are unwilling to defend themselves, unable to defend themselves, and I think that they cannot stand the idea that other people are going to defend themselves. I genuinely believe that. I think that they feel that if they're not capable either emotionally or whatever of taking care of themselves, they don't want anybody to be able to take care of themselves. I'll give you an example that maybe make the psychology a little clearer. If somebody came out with a pill that made you immortal, let's say, and you could live forever, and you found out that 20% of the population or 50% of the population was taking the pill and you couldn't take the pill, how would you feel about that? You would feel like other people are capable of living longer, doing something more than you are. And I really think it just comes down to personal cowardice. They just simply aren't willing to take responsibility for it. And since they won't, I don't think they want anybody to.
Well, you have liberal groups like Everytown and Moms Demand Action, all funded by left-wing billionaires, George Soros at the heart of all of that, that are taking this fight on a state-by-state basis. I think they see the signs of defeat in Washington, and so now they've realized we have to take the California model and start to spread it across the country.
Oh, joy. The California model is failing everywhere, not the least of which is clear to you guys in Texas. Grant, as you probably know, that California are losing businesses and citizens to Texas all the time. And it's because of things like this. It's because what they're trying to do is they're trying to ban something that will take the place of banning murder and insanity. Their view of people, remember, the progressive left's view of people is that that people are malleable, that they're made by society, that everybody can live in perfect harmony, and that everybody will share. And they can't get rid of murder and insanity as much as they want to. So they have to get rid of something, and what they get rid of is the thing that they can get their hands on. They put all of the evils of society onto this inanimate object, and they hope that by tossing this into the volcano, everything will go with it. But it just doesn't work that way. It doesn't work anything like that way. And I think most people are smart enough to know that.
Well, I read an article that there's one gun store in California. California passed this ammunition law that you have to be registered to buy ammunition. You have to get background checks for all kinds of things. They banned the AR-style firearms out there. Now, ammunition sales are up 400% at this one gun store in the last month alone, even up more than the 6 months leading up to voting on this law.
This is actually one of the few clear signs of a healthy society. The fact that these restrictions are being put in place is really bad news and could be catastrophic news if we don't fight it hard. But the fact that when the government threatens to take out a certain kind of a weapon or restrict ammunition, the American people's first choice is to go out and buy as much of that as they possibly can. I was up at a gun shop in Idaho a couple years ago, and a guy came in and wanted to sell the gun shop about 1,000 rounds of .223, I think. The reason he did it was he had just thousands and thousands of rounds at home, but the price had gone up so much that this was almost like sitting on gold. It's a resource that he could trade. It shouldn't be this way. And if the right of the people to keep and bear arms means anything, it says arms, right? It doesn't say spears or poleaxes or clubs or anything. It means arms. And if you can't put ammunition in the arms, then it's not an arm. It's not a firearm. It's a club. And banning the ammunition is as illegal and as immoral as banning the weapon.
Yep, it is. And it's the one goal is to take away everything they can that makes buying firearms and using firearms easy. That's what they're doing in California. And again, that's what they want to do across this country. All right, Bill Whittle, I'm going to ask you to hang on because I got a couple topics I want to talk to you. One, Bradley Manning. You may remember him. Obama commuted his sentence down. This is the transgender traitor that released 750,000 documents that put so many Americans at risk. He's coming out talking against Barack Obama. What do you hear this one? And we'll talk about that and a lot more as CN Live continues. I'm Grant Stinchfield in for Coley on the War.